Hello and welcome to the Heart of American Rugby. I'm your host, Pat Clifton. This is the first ever episode of what will hopefully be the pilot season of a show talking all things rugby from an American perspective. We're going to talk Eagles. We're going to talk Major League Rugby. We're going to talk PR7s. We're going to talk college rugby. We're going to talk grassroots. Nothing's off the table here, but it'll be from an American perspective for an American audience. Tonight's show, we've got a packed episode for you. We're going to talk all things college rugby as we just had 4 men's national champions crowned over the weekend at SaberCat Stadium in Houston, Texas. Tons of action-packed footage coming to you from that. And we're also going to talk 2 rugby wrap-ups, Matt McCarthy. With Toronto and New York now out of Major League Rugby, just as Season 6 is about to kick off, who better to talk to than Matt McCarthy, the voice of the New York Ironworkers, formerly Rugby New York, formerly Rugby United New York, and now also the Toronto Arrows are gone. And Matt McCarthy plugged into the league. I can't think of a better person to talk to. But first, one thing we want to do with this show every episode is shine a spotlight on players and people in the grassroots that you don't know about, but that you should. So in our first ever spotlight, we've got Bryce Palmer, an absolute stud who I have had the pleasure to coach, also shares an alma mater, 21 years old from Odessa, Missouri, a scrum half, started playing just a few years ago at the University of Central Missouri, following in the footsteps of his older brothers Forrest and Braden. He is a high school state champion wrestler at 160 pounds, and Missouri is a very good wrestling state. He's also an undefeated state champion in football, all-state linebacker, played both ways, linebacker and running back. And when he got to UCM last year, Gateway Conference 15s, they only had 14 players, the Mules, that were eligible to play. They still won this conference championship with just 14 players, not a single sub, one man down the entire game, and Bryce Palmer led this team to a conference championship. His pro comps are Stephen Thomason, elite contact skills with ball in hand, in defense, and especially in the ruck, just like Stephen Thomason, also a very decorated high school football player. And John Dalton of Roadhouse. And tougher than could be. I've never seen him rip someone's throat out with his bare fingers, but I guarantee he can. Would not want to be thrown out of his bar. Tough son of a bitch. Off the charts athletic IQ, learns very quick, heart of a lion, proven champion. He's got the Pat Clifton stamp of approval. He is ready right now for PR7. Could step in next year for the experts, the headliners, the loggerheads, anybody, and make a difference and be a contributor. MLR definite draft prospect for 2024. A little bit of a project player because he plays position of scrum half. He's only been playing a few years. He has everything that takes, including a very quick learning ability, but it's going to take him a little while to get that nuance and skill with his boot and kind of the game IQ in 15s to be someone challenging for a starting spot. But he is ready right now for PR7s. He is ready right now for attention from Mike Friday. And this guy is definitely someone who I would draft for a Major League Rugby spot and give him a few years to develop.
Ass backwards like crisscross. I was down playing my shit, dog. Now we count down to that lift off. They giving me. I want it all I can. Bring that ass back like a boom, 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 boom. I'm feeling a little drunk. I'm feeling a little happy.
Gave up.
4 national champions crowned in college rugby over the weekend in Houston, Texas. Let's dive right in. The Babson Beavers winning 27-23 over Wayne State. The Wildcats led this thing 17-6 in the second half. They had a great first stanza. Big carries from guys like Trent Draper, the tight head prop, and really good field generalship from Jaden James, the fly half. But 3 yellow cards in the second half for the Wildcats really undid them, as did Babson outside center Jack Bizzio, who scored 2 tries in the last 40 minutes, making it 5 on the weekend. He scored a hat trick in the semifinals, was outstanding, but not quite as good in the final as MVP Reed Santos, the fly half, and little brother of Ryan Santos, now a Sevens Eagle, former Harvard All-American, and older brother of Rand Santos, who is now on the Cal rugby team. This is a fantastic rugby family, and without any further ado, let's hear from Reed Santos, the MVP. 2 national championships in a calendar year. 2023 has been pretty good to you guys.
It definitely has. I mean, it's all a testament to the hard work, alumni, thanks to sponsors like Lang Green and our parents. We couldn't do it without all of them.
Tell me about this. This is obviously a crazy game. You guys had the win in the first half, but you come out in the second half, a little bit of a deficit, and you had to really chip away with it. It took all 80 minutes to get there. Just tell me about the wherewithal of your team and what was the mindset in that second half.
Yeah, we realized we had the wind against us, so we needed to attack the game line, run it at them, and demonstrate our creativity in the backs. And it paid off at the end of the day, but a lot of hard work and a lot of contact, but it was worth it.
Tell me about this season. You guys weren't even in the playoffs last year. Now 15's national champions. Was that something you talked about in a dominant fashion, the way that you did it too?
Yeah, I mean, when I came in my first year in Babson, I knew I had large goals ahead. I knew the potential of the program, the potential of the school, and bringing in a new freshman class, doing strong recruiting, demonstrating the great capabilities that the academic can offer. And Babson really just attracted itself. These great players came in. Thanks to our success with the sevens, it just really rolled the ball forward.
So do you and your brother share a trophy case, or do you compare trophy cases?
It's always competitive within the brothers, but at the end of the day, we're all pulling each other up, and we're all trying to play as high-level rugby as possible.
Who wins the drop goal contest?
Definitely me. Definitely me.
I like the confidence. Now jumping over to Division II, it was the IUP Crimson Hawks beating the Memphis Tigers 27-19. Memphis led this thing 12-0 in the first half after 2 tries from outstanding Irish fly half Connor Dempsey, and they led until the last 20 minutes. Dempsey went out injured early in the second half, and that did not help the Tigers, nor did 2 yellows at the same time in the second half, which really opened the gate for IUP to win their 3rd national championship in 2 years. The Crimson Hawks won the last 2 sevens national titles and claimed this one their first ever 15s championship in program history. And we talked to Cam Taylor, the dynamic prop number 8 do-it-all for the IUP Crimson Hawks. Division II national champion now with the IUP Hawks, already in sevens, now in 15s. What does that mean for you guys?
It's the greatest feeling in the world. I just want to give all glory to God, because without him, we wouldn't have been able to be here with such a great team. This is an honor and a blessing.
You guys getting tired of putting trophies in the case here at IUP?
Never. We're going to try to run it up as long as we can. Keep this streak going.
You had some injury issues last year, right? What does it mean to come back, be healthy, and really contribute?
It means the world to have our captain back in full force after that injury with his ankle. He's our leader, and him coming back proved that we can make it through any adversity that comes our way, and he's the one that made us know that. Especially with all of us having injuries, it's just part of the game. We just got to keep rolling with the punches.
Talk about adversity. You guys were down. It looked like Memphis was on top of you there, and you were able to wait it out and get through it. What was the difference there in the second half?
We just didn't give up. That's simple. We knew it was going to be a dogfight when we came into it. We knew what to expect. It's a great Memphis team that has a lot of talent, just so we do, and they made it here just like we did, but we had to come through, and we knew that second half was ours. We just had to put the foot to the pedal and just keep going.
When did you start playing rugby, boss?
I started playing in 7th grade.
7th grade. All right, so that's why you're a prop who could kick, drop kick for points. I mean, just tell me what your future is in this game. What are you looking to do with rugby?
MLR. I'm already at this stage. That's the next point for me, and I'm going to work my hardest to get there.
The Division I AA final, it was the Battle of the Bluegrass State as the Kentucky Wildcats beat Louisville 43-28. It was all Wildcats early on in this one as they jumped out to a 26-0 halftime lead and led 40-0 before the Louisville Cardinals got on the board. Boy, it was a fantastic game. Both crowds in it the entire time. And we caught up with Kentucky fly half Jack Phillips. What do you think about that following, and could you hear him over there?
I mean, that's just our culture. You know, we got a great family. You know, all of us consider each other family, and wherever we go, they go. So wouldn't be able to do it without them.
Did you have any idea you were going to be able to get on top of them so quickly and be so dominant in that first half?
We knew they were going to come out hot. We knew they had something to prove, and we just came out harder. You know, we were prepared. We were ready. We've been working all season, and, you know, just kind of seeing the fruits of our labor.
How does it feel to beat the University of Louisville? I mean, was that part of it? I mean, were you thinking rivalry? It certainly looked like a rivalry game.
Oh, yeah, always a rival against Louisville. I mean, they're big, they're strong, they play hard. It's always a good contest, but we knew we had a job to do, so that was our main focus.
All right, what do you put it to? I mean, this is Kentucky. You guys have won a couple of conference championships before. First national championship. What put you over the edge?
Honestly, I just think our mindset, you know, our work ethic and our mindset this off season and the season altogether. You know, we came out, you know, things were kind of rocky at first, and then we kind of started to put the piece together, and it took us all the way here. So
we have worked our fucking asses off since August. This is how we fucking prove it. Guess what? First year competing in the fucking NCR, we fucking win the goddamn thing. Next year, run it back, Keep fucking pushing. You guys are young and working hard. I fucking love it. Let's go!
And in Division I, it was Notre Dame College winning 33-10 over St. Bonaventure, a resounding win for the Falcons. Their first-year head coach, Hugh Johnston. Last year, he was the captain, playing between the lines. This year, he's on the sideline, coaches his team, his former teammates, to a national championship. NDC's first since winning D1 AA back in 2017. Let's go ahead and hear from Lockie McDonald, their All-American fullback, and then we'll hear from Hugh Johnston, first-year national champion head coach.
What are the first emotions after that win there?
It's pretty emotional. Just full credit to the boys, like to get over the line there, especially our piggies. I think it's something we talked about all year, and it's pretty surreal right now to be in the moment. So it's pretty good, but like I said, pretty surreal still. Full credit to our coach Hugh Johnson, who controls us really well. He controls all 15 to 23 to the 52 squad. He controls all our mindsets and really keeps us in good stead for moments like that.
And tell me about Hugh. I mean, first year as a coach, last year you're captain. That's not an easy transition to make from like mate to coach. Tell me about that.
I've always said to the boys, if someone was to go from player to coach, Huey would be the person. He's the best man to distinct himself from friend and coach. He's really pushed us this year. Every Tuesday morning we were out running in the pitch black at 6:45 a.m. in the morning. So he really kept us a good discipline, but he really made that distinctive difference between player and coach and friend and coach. So like I said, he's the best man to do it, and hopefully he sticks around now.
What's the story of Notre Dame College finishing off the season?
Well, I think the story starts back 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, when I wasn't here for the fall semester. I think the boys went 1-8, so they ended up losing 8 games and only winning 1 just. But like it all started there, and Huey talked about building like a pyramid, doing really well in Rugby East, but first of all starting from the ground up and building our team culture. We definitely knew we had the talent, but we really just had a bit of a culture problem, and we had to come together, and we talk about the word brotherhood. Look at all this, we're all brothers, and we get around each other, we live with each other, we sleep with each other, we wake up in the morning, we do everything, we eat dinner with each other. So Huey set that foundation as a brotherhood, and then we just built it up from there and tried to do really, really well in Rugby East. We really just prided ourselves on our defense and didn't want any team to score any points on us.
With Hugh Johnston, head coach of the national champion Notre Dame College Falcons. Boy, I just got to get the 800-pound gorilla out of the room. You were playing last year, and now you're coaching. What a transition, and what a storytell ending.
Yeah, no, it's been obviously super enjoyable journey. 2019, I started at NDC, and we've had some up and down seasons. 2 years ago, like I was on the field, and we went 1-7, should have gone 0-8 probably, and for these boys to turn it around, and especially like there's 13 boys that we brought down who were on that season, where obviously when you lose pretty much every game it's a rough season, and then the boys to bounce back from that. But yeah, a lot of these boys are older than me, so I was asked to step into this role, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, hats off to the boys because they get the credit at the end of the day.
Any awkward moments during the season? I mean, these were your teammates last year.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Our selections, especially down the stretch, like mates who I've roomed with and I've known for like a long time, so having those like really awkward conversations, and I say sorry 100 times, like sorry you're not in the 23 and that sort of stuff. So I found that the hardest part of coaching. Like I've had some great coaches in the past where I've like sort of taken on what they've done, and like I know what I want as a player, and I thought I can get the best out of these boys playing with them, being their captain a couple of years. So yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Tell me about some of the culture changes that were made. I was talking a little bit to Lockie. You know, what was the difference between 1-8 and now national champion?
I think, well, first of all, I got to give credit to our 2 assistant coaches, Timmy and Jeff, who are the forward coaches, because a lot of those boys were in the forwards, and our forward pack can roll with anyone in the country. But in regards to more the culture change, we sort of changed things up a little bit this year, sort of try to get the boys tighter, which I think everyone in our whole wider 52, credit to all of them, because everyone can have a conversation. We've got boys from all over, obviously, boys from Toledo, California, but also Chile, like Zimbabwe and that sort of stuff. So really trying to, the social side of things off the field's like really, really important. So that was something that we improved. And the biggest thing to, I guess, improve culture though is to win. Like when you're winning, the boys get around each other. It's as simple as that. It's tough to really find your niche or find your DNA when you're losing games, because the boys obviously defensively, like something we really push for, and has been a success for us.
Matt McCarthy at SaberCat Stadium in Houston, Texas. It's a little bit of a weather delay here at 15's Nationals.
Yeah, you know what, Pat? Just to get right to the point, we're a nation of sissies. We never had cancellations for lightning or rain in my day.
Another first today. Have you ever seen a puke delay before?
The throw up on the field was sickening, to say the least. And no, you know what? You're a college player. You're running around for 10 minutes, and then you're on your knees on the field throwing up. Then you move a little bit, you throw up some more. If you can move a little bit, get off the field.
It was something to see. It was like 3 pukes in a row.
Crazy.
Slipping. There was a rockamelee on top of the puke.
So, did we get down to why? Because it wasn't just one player, but they were on the same team. It was like the movie Airplane. Did you eat the fish?
The entire Kentucky Wildcats team got off the bus, Chipotle in hand, like it was MGK rap battle with Eminem. It was
allegedly Chipotle. We don't want to get any lawsuits from Chipotle's lawyers.
I'm new to this. Thank you for that. The lawsuits could come.
A Chipotle type place, but not necessarily Chipotle. We don't know.
A fast casual Tex-Mex chain that's in every city and state. Matt, I want to cut to the chase. You are now without a Major League Rugby team in your city. Condolences. It really honestly must be the worst thing ever. This is only a couple days fresh for you, but I know you've been on the phone constantly. Tell me, what were your initial thoughts and how do you feel about it?
It was like the death of somebody. It was as weird as it sounds, and it's an entity, right? It's a team. It's not a person, but it felt like a death. It felt like a funeral. It felt like a wake, and immediate concerns were like, players and staff, like, what are they going to do? I mean, I've chosen this path, this idiotic, insane path of covering rugby for a living in the United States, and that's on me. But when you get people that are playing and they're told everything's going to happen and this and it's all good and it's growing and they're coming off a season ago winning a championship and they got a new field and then it's just gone overnight. It's like one of those things when you're watching on TV and a bomb blows up in a building and you're like, oh, that sucks. But then the bomb blows up in your building.
Yeah. And
then it's a whole different level of real, and it's just, I know what Toronto fans are going through. I know what Atlanta fans are going through. I know what Giltini and Gilgroni's fans went through.
Denver Stampede fans?
Denver Stampede fans, Ohio Aviators fans, the Fortress, Obets. Come on, we got to get back to Obets.
It might be better weather in Obets than it is right here, right now.
We're sitting here in a torrential downpour and a weather delay, and Pat Clifton being the on-the-spot rugby reporter has us doing this.
Opportunist is what I am. I'm like, McCarthy is not talking on the mic. Let me shove a mic in front of him while I can and make it happen.
That's all people need to hear is me talk more.
That's exactly. I couldn't agree more. Finally, you're on the other side of the interview. In all honesty, like Rugby New York, you were working for them. You were commentating their games. This changes your day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month pretty significantly.
Yeah, so at least I was going to be doing every one of their home games, and they had actually said we would likely be doing all the games so that fans could get identify with the broadcasters and have some like homers, so to speak, which would be a shift because we've been trying to keep it objective, right? So it was like, oh, maybe now it's 16 games, and no, I don't have to travel.
Perfect.
Right. Now I'm sitting home like everybody else, waiting for the phone to ring. Yeah. You know, that's the reality. And again, got players in their prime. I'm way past my prime, so my clock isn't ticking, so to speak, for what I do. But when you got these people, their clocks are ticking. You got foreign players that aren't going to get picked up because of the international slate or international designation. So it's just brutal.
It is like 5 years in operation, somewhere thereabouts. Correct me where I'm wrong. I think 3 head coaches, at least 2 or 3 different brands. It was Rugby New York, Rugby United, then it was Rugby New York, then it was the Ironworkers. I don't know how many different stadiums, but how much of it is wrong place, wrong time, or how much could have been done better to make it work, or how much of it is just that's a really difficult market to make it happen?
Well, it was just about to turn the corner. COVID really hit New York tough because, first of all, your venues are completely limited. You have huge stadiums, and then you have public parks. You really don't have anything. And then you have like Red Bull Arena, which would be $75,000 for one section in the stadium and 22,000 seats.
Yeah.
And if you got 3,000 fans, that's still an empty stadium, right? It plays loud, but it's also expensive. But when COVID hit, they had already been set up to be playing out at Wagner College in Staten Island. They had players moved out there. It was a good facility. It was easy to get to from New York City. You just take the ferry right past the Statue of Liberty for free to Staten Island, right? And that would have been a good situation. COVID canceled that because third parties were not allowed on college campuses. So that was one thing, right? St. John's, where they were playing for a while, just pulled the plug in like January of the season, kicking off in February. Said, yeah, we're not going to do that. Okay, all right, thanks, St. John's. And then they got Mount Vernon. Oh, then they were in Hoboken, New Jersey, at a high school field. But you can't serve booze at a high school field. Mount Vernon was finally a stadium where, it's 3,500 seats. It was located where you could get to it on public transportation. There was parking.
You could swim there. It was only a mile.
You could swim there if you needed to. No, you couldn't swim there. And it had beer. So it had everything was turning the corner. The new owner that was allegedly coming on board had come to games, and he was this male model. He was like this modeling guy with a successful modeling agency, and he was an entertainment/media guy that was in the business of making stars of people. And it was looking like, okay, here's somebody that gets the media aspect of it, the sports entertainment aspect. He owns a couple of soccer teams or pieces of soccer teams across the planet. He'd been living in New York for 30 years, and it all seemed like it was all on the up and up. And then it never materialized.
Yeah.
And there's so much more in it that it'll take a while.
Is there a bad guy or a villain in this, or is it mostly just circumstance? Now, keep in mind that you obviously are in the game, and you probably want MLR to succeed because it's another source that could give you a paycheck. Yeah. But I guess I'm wrapping that around. Also, are you still bullish on MLR? Like, do you think it's still around in 5 years, or are you going the way of the Glendale Raptors line of thinking now?
No, I am still bullish on the MLR. I think, if anything, they're starting to find out that the model of a passionate guy that wants to have a team is unfortunately not the way. It's not sustainable. You saw Cancer take away 2 teams. You saw Cancer take away Callaway in Atlanta and Webb in Toronto, and Marcus Callaway and Bill Webb, great guys, passionate guys about their rugby, but they were spending the money. And when they went, the teams went, basically, right? As basic as you can get. And I think now, the trend now with Miami and with the LA group, which have paid their capital call, it's more corporate, and that's a good sign. Chicago's pretty sound. They got some bucks in Chicago. Seattle sound. Houston, we're here. They're sound. Dallas seems to be pretty sound. Utah's sound, and both NOLA and Old Glory have added investors.
That's great.
Yeah. So you got 11 that are pretty solid right now, and it's really unfortunate, but LA is back in the market, and I think New York might be back in 2025.
So that's exciting. You're calling it New York is back at some point.
Everybody is telling me they want New York back, and to be honest with you, they tried to keep New York in as long as possible. The owners kept extending the capital call, and then it just didn't materialize. And then there was a note in a WhatsApp to the team at 9:52 p.m. on Tuesday night, telling them that it was over. So
not a great look. I mean, rugby, the one man gets hit by a bus insurance is something that rugby has struggled with. There are many clubs that have gone through that the guy who did everything is no longer involved, or he dies, and therefore the club ceases to kind of work. I remember the Tulsa Union High School team produced Chance Wingluski, Lorenzo Thomas, like 4 Eagles in one graduating class.
The guy that's subject to this because he played for New York is Chance Wingluski.
2 years after their coaches moved to Oregon, the entire club evaporates, even though they produced 4 Eagles in one high school class. So even when it gets richer, the game, it can still be, these clubs can be backstopped by one rich guy.
And I think that the trend now is they're moving away from that, and they're aware of it. So the LA group presented financials. They made the capital call. They've got some serious people that are getting involved in the team. And they're rumored to be partnering with AEG for the stadium, too. Another good group.
Yeah.
Right? So I am the ultimate optimist, but I do think the league will at least be around another 3 to 5 years, because these owners are looking for the long play. From everybody that I talk to, and they know what they're going to lose, and they're just trying to figure it out.
What is 2031? How big a piece is that on the long play? Because you start to hear murmurs if things don't get together, maybe World Rugby will pull it if they're not super sure that USA Rugby or American Rugby is ready to host it. How important is that in all of these owners' long-term plans?
The World Cup is very important, and I think World Rugby, if they're not going to just come across as the biggest hypocrites on the face of the earth about this sleeping giant awakening garbage, they're not going to pull the cup. They want it here. They desperately want it here. They want to get this American audience that they think is going to change the world in World Rugby. But really, do you think they really want us to be good? It's turkeys voting for Thanksgiving, right? Do they really want us to be good? Because if you think the French are pissing people off spending money, this is capitalism here. This isn't, our sports teams, people want to see a winning team. The union doesn't dictate what the professional leagues do here, like it does overseas.
That's an interesting dichotomy, because I look at Rugby Pass, which is owned by World Rugby, and they want to own basically and manage all the content in rugby in the world. Major League Rugby has the Rugby Network and the biggest media market in the world, and they're investing in that, and I think they want it to own all the American rugby content and be something of value. And then, like if MLR does get to the size of even MLS, they're probably not going to allow international windows to be dictated to them by World Rugby. So this does seem like, MLR is like this Herculean baby that nobody wants to hit puberty.
Well, and also, look across the pond. The Premiership is down to 10 teams, right? Three major teams going bankrupt or getting kicked out or relegated because of no money. And that model, too, individual wealthy people, for the most part. The top 14 in France seems to be the one model. And now the Japan Rugby League 1, which is owned by corporations. These are entities that are proving the opposite, right? The French owners tell the French union to go F off all the time. English owners are getting to that point. The NZRU controlling the 5 pro teams for Super Rugby in New Zealand. That's coming to a head. This whole thing about, could you imagine USA Rugby being responsible for Major League Rugby? And even suggesting that? I mean, could you imagine that at a meeting and they're all going to be, you're funny, right? No, that's not, U.S. basketball, or whatever you call it, USA basketball doesn't dictate what the NBA does, right? Right. Hockey doesn't dictate, USA Hockey doesn't dictate what the NHL does. So why in the world would USA Rugby dictate what the MLR does? It's just not going to happen here, folks.
I couldn't agree with you more. You heard it from me a whole bunch of years, but you heard it from Matt vociferously and strongly at the end. And Matt, condolences for you and all your buddies in New York, and I know it's awful. Are you going to root for a team, or you just whoever you're talking to in the moment, you're rooting for their team?
I am an absolute whore, Pat, and I can be bought by basically anybody at this point. Yeah.
All right, Sabercats. I'm going to get you a hat from the pro shop, and now Matt McCarthy, huge Sabercats fan. Thanks.
I don't pass, by the way.
Well, that's going to do it for our first ever episode here of Heart of American Rugby. Hopefully you found something enjoyable or valuable. We talked a little bit of Major League Rugby, a little bit of grassroots rugby, a lot of college rugby. We will be back to do it again next week right here on the Rugby Network. Between now and then, you can follow me at Pat Clifton on Threads or Instagram. Signing off.